All right, so I'm here with JT. JT, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? It's glad to finally meet you in person. You know, it's like we've been
Going back
playing
and
phone
forth.
tag back and forth for like 2 months.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely glad to have you. Let's kind of start at the beginning, man. Tell me about your early life. Coming up, both parents.
Yeah, okay. So, my early life, I came from, poverty. I grew up in rural Mississippi, a little town called Fulton, about 3,000 people. Didn't have a dad around, and my mother was very young. She was a teenage mother. She was 17. So bounced around a lot with her. Multiple men, multiple relationships.
Only child.
I was the only child until she got married the first time, and I had a sister, had a stepsister or a half sister. So then that was a very tumultuous or bad relationship that she was in with that guy, my sister's dad. Very abusive. He was an alcoholic and drug addict, which led my mother to being the same, and lots of physical abuse, both physically on me, not sexually, but beating me with a belt, those kind of things. Beating my mother with his fists in front of us nightly. That was my early childhood, and then she multiple marriages. I think I lived in 20 different houses in about 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, she could never hold a job, and it was all just the basic the people that she chose to be around, the lifestyle she chose. My mother was very intelligent. She had opportunities to do anything she ever wanted to do, but she just chose to be around a certain type of people that kept her down, right? And then my grandparents were my saving grace, really. Her parents, they were always there for me to kind of pick us up before we hit rock bottom. And they basically paid our bills. If bills weren't getting paid, they would help pay the bills. And, they'd always come in and pick me up, take me out of the situation for a couple of days and bring me back. But as we progressed and got a little older, my mother was maturing also. We kind of grew up together. She was 17, when she had me, so we basically grew up together, man. And when I became a teenager, I was super rambunctious, but I always pushed the limits and always knew when to get out of the car at the right time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, the guys are going this way. Hey, before you go, let me out right here. So I always was able to make that decision to kind of keep me out of big trouble.
Yeah.
But I always dabbled right on the edge.
Sure.
But really, sports is what kind of saved my life with that. I was a pretty good athlete, and in the rural South where I grew up, if you were a decent athlete, they could overlook a lot of things.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that saved me and helped me get pushed through school. It was just the fact that I was a good athlete.
Gotcha. What's your relationship with your mom like now?
We have a relationship. And when I talk about my story, I try not to bash my mother. But it's still good to tell some of the truth, because it's what makes me who I am, and I hate to bash my mom or talk bad about her, but we didn't have the greatest childhood, and she knows that, and she really feels bad about it today. She's really proud of me where I am now with my life, and I still support her any way I can. There's no hard feelings. I survived. I grew up. I made my own life, and so yeah, there's no hard feelings. I talk to her once a week.
Is that what ultimately led you to the military, to kind of get away from home and get have a place to stay and things like that?
Yeah, I always had this. I always knew I was different. My family. I come from a family where nobody was college educated. Nobody had a professional job, professional degrees, or there was no real professionals in my family. I didn't have any positive male role models. The only role model I had was my grandfather, who was, a good role model as far as morally and ethically, how to be a good person, do the right thing, those kind of things. So I really owe a lot of my life to my grandfather and my grandmother. But I never had like a positive role, like, solid man role model. And in the back of my mind, I always strive to get that. So I thought the military would be a good way to kind of finally find that. And I bounced around. I went to college for a while, dropped out. Of course, I wasn't a student, and they won't just push you through.
Yeah, no, I can relate.
And then took a bunch of different odd jobs and tried a lot of things. And then 9/11 happened. And once 9/11 happened, I had this urge to just go fight, man. I just wanted, how can I put myself between evil and Americans? And I want to do it however I can do it. I want to be on the front lines. I want to be a Navy SEAL. I want to be a fucking D. I don't care what I am. Put me in there. I want to fight,
Yeah.
So that's when I started leaning more towards, I'm going to be in the military. It's just, how am I going to be in the military? What branch? What avenue do I want to take? And
How old were you when you first went in?
I was 20.
20?
Yeah. So in the military, it's kind of, I was a little older than most guys because most guys come in at 18,
Yeah.
18, 19,
Fresh out of high school.
some 17.
Yeah.
So I kind of had a little edge. I already had life experience. I had some life experience over some guys. So I was always put in a leadership position basically from the start. But yeah, I decided to join the Marines, and I want to be a Navy SEAL. I was gung-ho Navy SEAL, started training for it and everything. But there was just the fear of the unknown held me back because I didn't want to get injured in SEAL training and then be stuck in the Navy. Because there's two different sides of the Navy. You've got the Navy and you've got the Navy SEALs. And it's two different navies, right, really. And there just wasn't a job besides being a SEAL that interested me in the Navy. But in the Marine Corps, however, you can be Marine Infantry, which opens you up to all these different avenues. You could be a sniper, you could be reconnaissance, you could do all these different things. There's just more opportunities for me to do what was interesting to me.
Yeah.
So I joined the Marines.
When you first get into boot camp and things like that, being a 20-year-old, what is that like? What is that experience like? What's going through your head? Like,
Well, honestly, it was a joke. I mean, not only was I a little bit older, but I was also had life experience, so I kind of knew that it was a game. And I knew that, it wasn't what I expected it to be. Nothing ever is, right? When you get, especially things that you're scared of, once you get there and you realize, like, God, this ain't that bad, It wasn't a letdown, but it was just a frustrating time. It was 13 weeks of just frustration, really.
Yeah.
It's just little tedious shit that digs at you every day, and it's just a mind game, but it's nothing that you can't overcome. Physically, it wasn't that hard. I feel like I was in worse shape when I got out than I was before I went in.
Yeah.
Because, I was training to be a Navy SEAL before I went in. So I was like 2 or 3 day workouts, swimming, running, lifting. And, at boot camp, it's just a lot of drill, like marching and things like that. And a lot of playing games. But anyway, a lot of guys struggled though, man. A lot of dudes struggled. You see some of the coolest and strongest dudes you ever can imagine, and you see some of the weakest and frail guys that you're like, how did you even get here? How do they even let you through? I don't know.
People from all ends of the spectrum.
People from all over the earth, man. And like dudes that are standing there pissing their pants, shitting their pants. I mean, crying at night, trying to jump off the balconies.
Anything to get home.
Nuts, man.
At what point did you realize you wanted to be a sniper?
Well, I always knew I wanted to be something more, right? Like, for instance, you can be infantry, and just be one of the infantry guys that goes in and fights and kicks down doors and does patrols, or you can be more specialized and have more responsibility. And I always knew that I wanted to be more specialized and have more responsibility in some way. I wanted to have a specialty. I wanted to go to either like small unit teams, right? Either reconnaissance, recon, SEALs, something to that effect, to where I'm a step above the average, infantry guys.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to do that. And once I got in Marine infantry and excelled, my first deployment to Iraq, I deployed to Iraq almost immediately once we got out of training. And when I got to my first deployment in Iraq, we were in a town called Hit. And it had just got basically ransacked by another Marine unit, and we kind of stepped in to help keep it clear. But before we got there, actually, it got passed over to an Army unit. So Marines came in, cleaned the city out. Army came in to hold the ground, and then we took it over from the Army. And during that time that the Army had held it, it had kind of became a haven for terrorist activity again. And just because the Army's way of operations were a little different than ours, if they got shot at, they would just stay away from those areas. If they, their SOP, their operating procedure, when they were driving down the road, if somebody shot at their vehicles, it's shoot back, but don't stop, keep going.
Get out of here.
Ours was somebody shoots at you, you pull the trucks over, get out, and go blow that building up. Go find the dude, know? And that's what, once we came back in that town, the first couple of weeks was kind of hectic because they want to test you. And then they realize, all right, these guys are Marines. It's obviously different. They got different uniforms, they got different tactics. Let's get out of town.
Yeah.
And then usually after a couple of weeks or a month, the bad guys start kind of leaving town, and then but they still operate in the town. They do a lot of IEDs then. They won't engage you, but they'll put bombs everywhere.
Yeah.
And but with that, that's when I first seen the snipers. Because when you're a junior Marine, you don't really see, you're so focused and doing what you're told when you're told. Your platoon is everything. Your platoon sergeant tells you everything. You're living with your guys. You're not seeing what goes on outside of your little bubble, right, in your platoon. And everybody knew there was a sniper platoon, but nobody knew the guys. It's just like this magical, mystical group that exists.
But doesn't exist. Yeah.
You don't really know them. And actually before we deployed, we were doing like a little training op, and I was at the armory, so I was a machine gunner. I was turning my machine gun in, and I saw these dudes. They looked like 40-year-old grown men, and they came walking by, and they had their ghillie suits on. They're all face painted up, and their sniper rifles, and like they, jacked with tattoos, and they walked through and just like handed their sniper rifles to the guy at the door and walked off. I was like, who are these dudes? Like, oh, that's State Platoon. That's the snipers. Like, oh, God, that's what I want to be. I want to be those dudes.
Yeah.
Like, where are they? Like, yeah, they're in the battalion. They stay over there in that barracks. Like, oh, shit, that's what I want to do, They just got to hand their guns in and walk off. We got to stand there for like 2 hours and get our guns inspected 10 times when we turn it in. Nope, not good. The snipers just walk up here and fucking walk off, Like, oh, shit. So when I was in Iraq, I searched those guys out. I seeked them out, and I found them. And at one of our patrol bases, there was actually a team that was operating out of there. So every few nights, you'd see them go out, and they come back in a couple of days later, and they go out, and they come back in a couple of days later. And one of the dudes I recognized, I knew him from boot camp. He was a young guy, and he was just a new guy in their platoon. And he was like, yeah, dude, yeah, you got to come to snipers. As soon as we get back, we're having an NDOC, like a tryout. It's like, I'm on it as soon as we get back. So I did. Talked my buddy into it with me. And as soon as we got back from Iraq, that first deployment, we tried out for sniper platoon.
Yeah.
And it was basically a 2-week just kick in the nuts. Like, treat you like shit. There's no sleep. There's not eating much. Only a couple hours of sleep per day, if that. And it's just a kick in the balls. There was 26 of us.
How many made it?
So 26 of us started that NDOC. 7 of us finished it without quitting, and they kept 6 of us. So they kept 6 of us, and it was at that point in my life, that was the hardest thing I've ever done. That NDOC.
Once you become a sniper, what do your day-to-day activities consist of?
Well, day to day as a sniper in the rear, like in the battalion, stateside, is you're training, you're learning. I mean, there's so much knowledge that goes into being a sniper. a lot of people don't realize that, you know, the actual shooting portion is the smallest portion of being a sniper. You know, it's as far as a Marine sniper, there's, you know, we control air, we call in airstrikes, we control artillery, we control mortars, all that kind of stuff. We call all that in, control it on the battleground. We do long range reconnaissance. We do advanced land navigation. We have to be very good with communications and the radios, gathering information, intel gathering,
Coordinates and all that shit.
reporting information back to the command, concealing yourself, getting into positions, getting out of positions without being detected. It's just a lot of things that go into it. You kind of have to be a master of all aspects of infantry and still know how to shoot.
Yeah.
So it's a lot goes into it. And really the whole time that you're in a sniper platoon, we got two different people. You got hogs, which just my shirt, a hog. Hog is a hunter of gunmen. That means you graduated sniper school, you're a hog. And then everybody else that's in the platoon that's not a hog is called a pig. And that means professionally instructed gunmen. So you got the hogs and you got the pigs. The pigs in the platoon do all the other work. Like your pigs in your sniper platoon, your sniper team are your point men. They're your security. They're your radio guys. They're doing all those other jobs. The hogs, the snipers, are usually the team leader and the assistant team leader. They're in control of running the team, controlling the operations, running the operations, planning the operations, and then usually taking the shots on the scene, making sure that they're the ones that are taking the shots and executing the shots. So it takes, you know, we're operating in four to 6 man teams, and you know, most platoons at that time you only had 4 to 6, maybe 8 school trained snipers in your platoon. Period. We had 4 teams of 4 to 6 guys. So the majority of your platoon is made up of pigs, guys that aren't school trained but that still know what they're doing, right? So we leaned on those guys a lot.
Yeah.
But and then I got to go to sniper school basically immediately. So once I finished that NDOC, the 6 of us that finished, one of the guys that was going, actually the guy that I told you I met that I knew, he was slotted to go to sniper school, but got a DUI. So they didn't kick him out of the platoon, but they said you can't go to sniper school. And
Is that forever, or is that just temporary?
Well, temporary. He missed the spot. He missed the spot. Once you miss your spot for 1 year, you're I mean, it's rare that you're going to get it again. 'Cause it's 13-week school.
Yeah.
You know, and at that time, our op tempo was so heavy. We were deploying for 6-7 months, coming back, training for 6-7 months, deploying. I mean, it was just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
So if you missed your spot, you were good luck. You know, you're not going to get another opportunity.
Yeah.
And
So once you become a sniper and you get that call and they're like, look, you're getting deployed, what is that like? Well, you're this basically early 20-something kid. You're going to another country you've never been to. Yeah, you've got this training, but I mean, I'm sure that's probably nervous, right?
it's nervous because you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like every deployment is completely different. Every area of operation you go into is completely different, right? When we went to hit, it was an active area. We were taking small arms fire, rocket fire, and getting a lot of IEDs and stuff, but we didn't get a lot of sniper kills. We run a lot of like person-on-person engagement, right? It was mostly IED interdiction, like trying to catch guys putting in stuff on the road, or trying to catch guys digging in IEDs and trying to kill them, you know, that stuff. But when you go to your next area of opportunity or your next area of operations with your next deployment, completely different scene, right? It's like going from crime in Detroit, going to crime in Nashville.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different, you know, and that's kind of how it was over there. So my next deployment went to an area called it was can't remember off the top of my head. Dulab and a couple other cities around that area. And that's when I got my first official sniper kill. I was a team leader. So I got put as a team leader because I went to school and graduated. Sniper school was that's a whole different story. I mean, I wasn't ready at all for sniper school. Like I said, I just finished the NDOC. They said, hey, you're next on the chopping block. Out of the 6 guys we got, we think that you can pass, so we're going to send you. I didn't know shit.
Yeah.
These other guys have been training for like a year, already done a deployment, getting ready to go to sniper school, and they sent me right off the bat. So there's just so much stuff you got to learn, you know, definitions and all the acronyms and just all the different little things and skills that you practice as a pig in a platoon every day, getting ready for sniper school. I never got that opportunity. So I was staying up all night at sniper school, studying the shit that everybody already kind of knew. Because all the written tests, the guys are just, you know, and I'm like, you know, like, I didn't know it. So it was a little stressful. But passed, made it through, became a team leader, and then took over a team. And went on that second deployment to Iraq as a team leader, and it was a very hot area. I mean, a lot of activity. And then my first month there, I got my first kill. And that was at 926 yards, shooting across a river. And the guy, we had, a lot of our missions that we were doing were based off of, we try to only do intel-driven missions, right? So guys would gather intel information and they would pass it up the command, and then it would come to us in form of like a mission package, right? And then we would sit down with our platoon commander and our platoon sergeant, and we'd work our mission up, and we'd try to dial it in, and then we'd get, you know, where are we going, when are we going, these types of things. And then there was one mission where they sent us out because there was a suspected cache hidden in the palm groves. And palm groves is like a forest, but it's just palms, right? And a cache is just a hole where they hide weapons, right? A big hole, and they cover it up, but they guard it. And so they're like, we need you to get eyes on this suspected area where this cache may be, and see if you can take pictures or find out, yeah, it is a cache. And if you see anybody taking anything or using it, you know, smoke them. So we were sitting there about 2 days, and we're on top of a ridge line across the river, across the city, watching this bankhead where there's a palm grove. And we've seen a couple guys kind of robotically walking around, like, all right, there's something shady going on there, but we don't see anything. And then about the last day, third day, the sun was about to go down. We seen a guy come walking out really fast, and he had something covered up, and he took off walking down the beach. And as he's walking, you know, as a sniper, you put yourself in these positions, and you're constantly observing the area. You're constantly observing the pattern of life, we call it, and the baseline. The baseline is anything as it is in its normal everyday environment, right? When something disturbs the baseline, you notice it, right? Like if you're driving down your neighborhood and you always see these 2 windows in this top of the house, they got, you know, the white shutters or whatever. If you're driving down one day and the one's got black shutters, it takes you like, what is that? That's weird. That's how disturbance of the baseline. So that's how, when you're a sniper observing an area, you notice all these little things. And this guy walking like he was walking really fast was just a disturbance of the baseline. It affected the pattern of life in that area, and you could just spot it immediately. It's like, okay, what's this dude doing? This ain't normal. And then when somebody would approach him, like walking, and try to talk to him, you can see they kind of was like, hey, or whatever, he would keep his head down and keep walking, like, all right, he's up to something. So let's track him as far as we can. If we can't see anything, we can't shoot him. But yeah, if we can see positive idea of a weapon or some kind of interaction or something, yeah, let's take him out. So I had another team that was down on the river, across closer. They're about 300 meters away, 350 meters away. So he was reporting on at the same time. Me and him were on the radio. He's like, yeah, I got him. I was like, all right, so my point man comes up when he's doing the data for me. He's like, yeah, it's 926 yards, blah, 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 this kind of wind. I'm putting it all on my gun. Like, man, this is a prayer if I hit this dude. Yeah. It's far. Not only is it far, but, you know, our mission tempo was so hot that we're in and out of the back of trucks all the time. You got your gun strapped on your ruck all the time. You're throwing your ruck down mountains for guys to grab, you know, getting knocked around. So you don't know if your sight's on, your scope's on. you know. So it's just like, let's pray that I hit this dude if I shoot, you know. So my buddy down there's like, yep, hey, he just met a dude. So the two guys meet up. He shows him the weapon. He pulls the smock off. You can see it clear as day, an AK. The other guy hands him like a bag. It was like money or something. You could tell they were doing like a transaction. And the guy down there is like, hey, let's do a T of two. Let's shoot him. I got the guy on the left. You get the guy on the right. You know, 5, 4, 3, 2. We shoot. And both guys drop. Boom. And my spotter's like, holy shit, you hit him. I was like, wow, my God. He's like, you fucking hit him. Like, holy shit. You know, and it's not good to celebrate anybody dying. I know that. But in the context, you know, there's so many emotions that go into when you, as a sniper, doing your job, knowing that you're efficient and proficient in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Knowing that you just hit a guy that's obviously a terrorist and a bad guy. He's selling weapons to bad guys. That's taking one person out of the fight, you know, that could possibly harm Americans. And it's also sending an effect of a shockwave through that area that, hey, there's snipers out there. People are watching us. Like, we either let's leave, let's get rid of this cache or something, because now they know that we're watching them, right? And that's a very good psychological effect on the battlefield. When somebody dies from a sniper shot, it really shakes the whole area up.
Yeah, I can,
because they don't know where to go. They don't know when you're watching them, so they're always on edge after that. And us killing those two guys that day really changed that whole area. I don't think that area that we were in took a lot more activity for a couple months after that. Because
how many deployments did you have total?
5 deployments.
5. What was I mean I'm sure they were all kind of crazy. What was the most memorable one?
Most memorable one, probably that second one was the most memorable one, just because that was my first time as a sniper team leader.
Yeah.
And it was so new to me.
Yeah.
And I had such a great platoon of guys. All the dudes were solid, and it was just we're all best friends. It's just the vibe and the camaraderie in that platoon. I was never able to match it again in my Marine Corps career.
How many kills did you have total?
Total, probably around 20.
Yeah.
Around 20, I'd say 18 to 20. Some that you're not sure, unconfirmed, some confirmed. But the issue with, kill count's not something we keep up with. That's like a myth.
Yeah.
We keep up with it. You personally keep up with it, but you're not really sure a lot of times when you get in engagements if you killed somebody or not. You know that you had your data on your gun and you took your best shot, and they didn't shoot again after that, or you didn't see them again after that, but you don't know if they died or not, because first off, they grab their bodies very quick and get them out of there. Secondly, you're usually a long ways away. And but one way you do know, confirmed, is if there was a funeral in the town the next couple of days.
Yeah.
So what they'll do is, we'll have our interpreters go talk to people, locals, and say, hey, yesterday over in this area, did a guy die? He got shot. Like, oh yeah, so-and-so died, he got shot. Okay, and they'll come back, hey, yep, you guys killed that guy yesterday.
Yeah. How many friends did you lose over there?
We lost, in my first deployment, we lost 4 guys, 5. And basically every deployment we lost someone. We had a team get ambushed, and one of my good friends get shot in the hip twice. He didn't die, but he's still living with issues from that. But I've had multiple friends that have died going over with other platoons, not with mine. But the biggest for me is just suicides. You've had, at least 30 people I've served with have committed suicide, at least.
Do you tend to notice more suicide out in the actual deployment or when they come back home?
Definitely once they come back home.
Yeah.
Mostly once they transition out. We did have one guy kill himself on deployment. And we've had guys kill themselves in the rear while they're active, but most of the time they got out, and usually it's within the first 6 months to a year from getting out. One of my good friends I got tattooed on my arm, he was one of my pigs, one of my younger guys, really good dude, shot himself on the phone with me.
Damn.
He just got out. He'd been out like 3 months, and him and his wife were arguing. They called me one night. It was like a Sunday night, and I thought he was just drunk, so I kind of played it off like, he's drunk. It's going to keep going on all night. They called again. I answered, and his wife's like, can you please talk to Matt? You know, it's not normal. He's got a gun. I don't know what to do. I was like, all right. So I talked to him for a little bit. He walked outside. Thought I had him calm down. But he kept telling me it's too late. He's like, it's too late, man. It's over. My life's over. It's too late. I'm like, no, it's not over. You know, just get away from her. You know, go hang out, go sit down, breathe. The next phone call I got, I heard him pull the trigger with her standing right in front of him with a 30-06 rifle.
What do you feel like all that has done to you mentally?
Well, one thing it's done to me is it's really made me strive to keep in contact with guys.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times a simple phone call can save a life. And just a simple phone call or a text can save a life, you know. And it doesn't have to be much. Just, hey, what's up? How you doing? I ain't heard from you in a while. And that could lead to a phone call from them or a conversation that could save their life that week, you know. Ultimately, I think if people have it made up in their mind, they're going to do it. But, you know, if you can save them some time, or if you can put that one little root in their mind that, hey, it's not that bad, you've got these things that, and maybe that keeps to grow and stops them from doing it, you know. But some guys, it's just, once they've made their mind up, as soon as they have the opportunity, they're going to do it. You can't be there with them all the time.
How big is addiction in the military?
In the military, not because you get tested all the time. But what happens is a lot of guys that join the military are disenfranchised youth in the first place, right? It's your guys that come from backgrounds like mine and yourself that either come from drug use backgrounds or alcohol backgrounds.
Yeah.
And they use the military to turn themselves around. And a lot of times, and it's just like somebody that was a drug addict that goes to rehab and gets out and goes right back home. And they're same friendship circle, same scenario, same shit. You get right back on drugs. The military kind of serves that same purpose almost. Like a lot of these guys can turn their life around, join the military, be a completely different person while they're in. And then they get out, go right back to their hometown.
Yeah.
Same friends, same bullshit, same cycle. And then they're right back where they started from. And it's like they forgot all about their whole time in the military was just like taking a break from life almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's, I would say that's the biggest factor is people just getting caught right back up in their old life. I see it all the time. And I recommend to anybody, you know, get out of your hometown, man. Like there's so much out here in the world. Like go try something else.
Yeah.
Your hometown ain't going nowhere. Like your guys you grew up with ain't going nowhere. They're going to be there. You know, the dudes that I grew up with, I can go right now. It's Friday noon. I can go to my buddy's tire shop in town, and half those guys are going to be in there hanging out on their lunch break in the shop, just shooting the shit, and then going on to their regular jobs for the rest of the day. You know, I mean, it's not going to change. You got to just get outside your comfort zone, man, and just go try something else.
What's your biggest fear in life?
My biggest fear in life is probably, at this point, I'm a father, I got 2 young daughters, is, I don't know, there's so many things that, it's all father related.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, my biggest goal in life is to, when I pass on, that my daughters look at me as I was a good man, a great father. I taught them well. I treated them well. I taught them how a man is supposed to treat a woman, by how I treat my wife. and how I treat them, and that I've set that example in them so that they know that when they meet a guy that is not holding that standard, that they
See it.
they break contact, and they know that this is not how a man is supposed to treat a woman, because this is not how my father treated us. And I think that's the biggest goal that I've got in my life, is just to show my daughters what it's like to be a good man and to have a good man around. I think if I can do that and keep them out of trouble and have them be successful,
That's all you can ask for, right?
I lived a good life. But
What's your biggest regret?
I don't know. I guess we all have regrets.
Yeah.
But man, this might sound cliche, but I don't really wish I could change anything about my life, because I wouldn't be where I'm at. And where I'm at right now far exceeds where I ever thought I would be.
No, I likewise.
Far exceeds wherever I thought I would be. I got an amazing wife, 2 amazing daughters, a house, bills are paid, financially stable, good government job, president and CEO of the Scout Sniper Association now, which allows me to keep connected to the Marine Sniper community, help guys out there in need, provide assistance to anybody that's out there that's struggling. I've exceeded my expectations.
Sure. Where can people find you at if they want to reach out? Or
So first off, I'm the president and CEO of the Marine Corps Scout Sniper Association. It's called the USMC Scout Sniper Association. We've got a website called scoutsniper.org. You can find us there. Our mission is to provide support services for Marine snipers and their families in any way that they need. Sometimes it's monetary, it's helping them out financially. Sometimes it's getting them into treatment facilities. Sometimes it's just hooking them up with a mentor or another sniper in the area that can talk to them and get their head straight and help them get back on their feet. All kind of different things we do. We also hold sniper events across the U.S. to get snipers together, get guys that have been out for a while off the couch, out of the house, and back connected with like-minded individuals. We've got future endeavors of starting some kind of youth mentorship program and using members of our community, quality men, snipers of our community to help run that program and get youth out, especially troubled youth, and get them out to do some retreats and things like that. But yeah, scoutsniper.org. That's the way to reach out to us and donate. You can reach out to me personally. You can see my email right there as the president. You click on it, CEO at scoutsniper.org.
I wanted to ask you, when you were deployed, what was the closest you came to death?
Couple scenarios. One scenario was, there's a couple times we were ambushed, right? And when you're ambushed, you're at your most vulnerable. You don't have the upper ground at all, right? And there's one time we were ambushed in Afghanistan, completely pinned in this little building. We call it the Alamo. Little tiny building, no roof, busted down walls, and it was very muddy. It had been raining for like 3 or 4 days straight, so we couldn't even run out of the building without falling and getting stuck in the mud. And we were taking contact, and we had to break contact on the run through the mud like that, about 200 yards straight line of sight to the nearest ditch to jump in. And as we were running, we'd send guys out in twos. There were 6 of us. We'd send guys out in twos, and every time the guys would go running across in twos, there would just be bullets flying through the mud.
That's crazy.
Like, oh my God, dude. Yeah. You're like waiting. All right, it's our turn. You ready? Ready, go. Yeah. And you run as fast as you can, man. You just see, but that's probably one of the closest times.
Wow, that's fucking insane, man.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind, man? Like when you're running, just holy fuck, like this is crazy. Like I gotta fucking get there.
Don't fall.
Yeah.
And number two is what's next.
Yeah.
You know, you get to that next piece of cover, which is a ditch. Now what?
You gotta run and find another one.
Now what? You know, but yeah, and you don't know if they've got guys flanking coming from another direction. You know, because they know the terrain a lot better than you do.
Yeah.
So,
How accurate was the movie American Sniper?
the movie American Sniper was pretty Hollywoodish.
Was it?
There's of course a lot of good accuracy in it.
Yeah.
One of the most accurate movies that I always tell people when they ask about that is Lone Survivor.
I haven't seen that. Up to check it out.
Lone Survivor is the story of Marcus Luttrell, basically, and the Navy SEAL sniper team that got ambushed in the mountains in Afghanistan. That's a very realistic movie, all the way up until the part to where Hollywood kicks in and they start to get shot at, and then they're flying off of mountains. But all the way up until that point, it's very realistic as far as operationally how a sniper team operates. Mark Wahlberg's in it. He's one of the stars in it. It's got a big cast. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
And Marcus Luttrell is the only person that lived out of that sniper team. He's still alive. I think he's a congressman now in Texas.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. I think it was SEAL Team 6 too.
Well, yeah.
Osama bin Laden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's still alive. He went through hell. He actually got rescued by a local villager, and they pulled him in and took care of him until the U.S. troops came in and got him. But yeah, that's a really good movie, Lone Survivor. But yeah, that's it. I just wanted to, I'm glad you gave me the opportunity, man, to speak, and I like telling my story. I've got a lot more stories, and
Yeah, for sure.
could talk all day, but yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on, JT.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.